Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy January 2021, day one of our 2-week scheduled class. I'm going to be moderating the conversation for a while here, making a few announcements, and then we'll begin our class. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to put everybody on moderation. Everybody's muted. So let's do a few quick announcements before we get started for the day. Number one, I'm your instructor, Tim Jensen. I've been in real estate for a while. I've been licensed since 1993. Been around the block a few times. I'm a licensed salesperson in 93. I got my broker's license in 97. I achieved my GRI designation in 97 as well. Become a licensed instructor in 98. I'm a member of the $1 Million Sales Club, a bronze, silver, and gold level producer. Had my best year ever in 2001. I sold $23 million in real estate. I sold 99 transaction sites and made a good coin that year. I've been around the block in several different markets. I've seen it come and go, guys. And let me tell you something, it's cyclical. It comes and goes all the time. We're experiencing a very challenging market as it is right now. But other than that, let's get back to our class. First of all, please, no recording. The New Jersey Real Estate Commission mandates that all pre-licensing courses are not allowed to be videotaped or audio taped. So please, no recordings. Secondly, please, no posting of any links in our chat section. I get to do it because I know the link I'm posting is safe. But if I allowed everybody to post links, I don't know what you're posting. Is it safe? We've had problems in the past. We don't want to repeat those issues. So please, no posting of any links in our conversation. Also, I shouldn't have to say this, and I'm sure this applies to no one out there, but please, no foul language in our discussion groups. Also, if you're having connection issues, a couple things you can do. Number one, close out any and all other programs that you're running. Any apps that are running in the background, soak up bandwidth. Any social media things you've got going on, they take a lot of bandwidth up. And it kind of distorts our signal, so you want to close all that out. If you're still having trouble, on the top of your desktop next to the address bar is this little semicircle with an arrow on it. You can hit that, it refreshes your connection. You just have to log back in. It's no big deal. If you're gone for a minute or two, it doesn't miss you. But if you're gone for half an hour and more at a time, that's a problem. Also, if you have any administrative questions, and I saw from your questions earlier, some people don't have ebooks or they don't have their regular book or whatever, I can't answer those questions for you. You can call our office, you can email them, you can text them. Everything you have about your book orders is in your email that you receive from us. If you're also having problems with any links that you have to our information offerings on our website, you should not have those problems, or if you do, just reset your connection, should clear it up. So any admin questions should be directed to our office staff. By the way, someone from our office staff always comes online around noon when lunchtime we have scheduled. We have a lunch break. So if you have questions about books, resources, how to do this, where do I find that? One of either Lauren or Noel will come on at noon and talk to you about those things. But do me a favor, stick around and talk to them if you have questions. Don't go away, come back, and then start asking, because they probably already answered it 2 or 3 times and you don't want to keep being repetitive. At the end of the day, when we call the end of the day, excuse me, I will always make myself available to any and everyone who has any additional questions about topics discussed or things about real estate in general. If you have an issue regarding a personal or professional problem, I don't want to know about it. I'm only here to teach a real estate course. I do not mentor. I do not sales train. I've done that many, many years in the past, and I don't want to do it again. Now, we take a break at 10:30 for a half an hour. It's coffee break. At noon, we take a 1-hour lunch break, and at 2:30 in the afternoon, we take another half-hour coffee break. We are scheduled to go from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. daily, Monday through Friday. We should wind up finishing our class somewhere around 4:15 or so, and there's plenty of time after that to ask questions. Also, one last note. In order to prepare for this class properly, you really should pre-read the chapters before you come to class during the day. It makes for much better retention on your part. You have a deeper understanding of the material, and you will do much better on the test. But if you come to class not reading this and then start asking multiple questions of things you probably would have already figured out if you had pre-read it, then it just wastes the class time. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure everybody gets a good shake here. So if there's any last minute questions before I start for the day, not meaning where's my book, how do I find a resource, please ask now. If not, I am going to start. So I'm going to open it up for questions to see if anybody has any last minute questions before we start this, the class today. I see one or two people typing, so I'll hang on. Will the PowerPoints be made available to us after class? No, it says right on there, copyrighted by Center for Real Estate. These are not out for publication. No other questions? Yes, Happy New Year. I'm just asking if there's any questions. Are there any exams besides the final? We do a daily review of all chapters. We do homework assignments at night. There's a sample review test that I give on the 10th day. Also, there's a couple extra exams in your book, a salesperson and a broker's exam that you should both try and see how well you do. So there's plenty of opportunities. We have to make sure we write down the dates of all the classes on the tracker in order to take this. I don't have no idea how the tracker works. If you have questions about administrative process, our office staff are the people to talk to, not me. Again, if there's any questions about what we're doing right now, please ask. If not, I do want to start. Okay, Michael, again, talk to the administrative class about makeup classes, hours, and everything else. I don't have that policy to you. We do review quizzes after each chapter. That is correct. Okay, not seeing any more questions. I'm going to moderate the conversation, and I'm going to start our discussion for the day. So everyone's now placed on moderation. It means there's no interaction, Q&A. If you try to type questions, I'll never see them. So hold on your questions until we take a break from the moderation. I'll always open it up after every few minutes of discussion so you can ask questions relative to the topics being discussed. If you have questions about other things that we're not discussing, please hold your questions to the end of the day, and I'll be more than happy to answer them at that time. If it's an administrative question, again, our office staff are always available to you, and they'll come on at noon to help you with questions. So if you would, please turn in your books to chapter 1, page 1, and we're going to start right now on the 10-day real estate salesperson's course so we can get busy and get this stuff done today. Now, chapter number 1, real estate licensing, the laws and everything that pertains to it. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to describe classes of New Jersey real estate licenses, including the qualifications for exemptions from licensures. In other words, if you have other qualifications, you may be exempt from having to take the course. Also, you'll be able to explain licensing procedures for New Jersey residents, out-of-state residents, and rental referral companies. We're going to talk about different types of real estate licenses, of which there are several. We're going to talk about authoritative versus subordinate agreements. And we're going to talk about why you have to be licensed as a real estate agent. So let's get busy. So who has to be licensed in New Jersey to buy, sell, or work with someone and make a fee in the real estate business? Well, anyone taking part in a real estate transaction in New Jersey for any other person for a fee, commission, or valuable consideration, they call that. Valuable consideration is something of value. So anytime if you were working on behalf of another person, helping them buy, sell, do anything in real estate for a fee, you have to be licensed to do it. Licenses are governed by the Real Estate Licensing Act, known as Title 45, Chapter 15. Title 45, Chapter 15. Title 45, Chapter 15. How come I said it 3 times? Well, chances are it's probably going to be on a test somewhere. So when I stress something by repeating it, you better be writing it down, highlighting it, making a note, do something. It's quite possible you're going to see a test question about that. Now, rules of real estate and how we do our business and the regulations that guide us are set up by the New Jersey Real Estate Commission. Now, this whole licensing law business came about in 1921. 1921, 100 years ago, this year, 100 years ago this year, New Jersey Licensing Act was created to protect the public against unscrupulous practitioners. The Real Estate Commission and the licensing laws, again, the commission was also created to protect the public, to govern how licensees do their job. So knowing that Title 45, Chapter 15 is the licensing law in 1921, also set up the New Jersey Real Estate Commission, well, then you're 9/10 of the way to finishing out this part of the lesson. But there's one more tenth left. And that is, in New Jersey, this real estate commission that they set up is important to know about. So the Real Estate Commission is made up of 8 members. 8 members make up the Real Estate Commission. Did I say 8? What I meant to say was 8 members of the Real Estate Commission, New Jersey, govern how we do business. 5 of those members must be licensed real estate brokers who have been doing business in New Jersey for no less than 10 years. So once again, of the 8 members of the Real Estate Commission, 5 of them must be real estate brokers doing business in New Jersey for no less than 10 years. 2 of the members can be anyone from the general public. And 1 member must be a government employee, someone working for the state of New Jersey. So how it works is this. All these 8 governors, all these 8 members of the Real Estate Commission are appointed by the governor. Whenever a new governor gets elected, most likely a new board of real estate commissioners is instituted. We have 8 members. 5 are brokers for 10 years or more. 2 members of the general public that, hey, if you're the brother of the governor and you need a job, hey, put you on the Real Estate Commission. It's an assignment by the governor. He chooses who goes on the Real Estate Commission. It's not an elected position. It's not a voted for or anything else. The governor just decides who he wants to put on the Real Estate Commission. So 5 members, licensed brokers, 10 years or more in New Jersey. 2, anybody from the general public the governor feels obligated to seat for the Real Estate Commission. And 1 must be an estate employee, usually working for the Real Estate Commission under the Department of Banking and Insurance down in Trenton, New Jersey. These are the 8 members that will hear cases about realtors misbehaving, hold trials. They're a semi-judicial branch of the government. They can hold hearings. They can present testimony and evidence and have a defense mounted on the defendant's behalf. They can listen to these facts, render decisions, and, if they feel necessary or obligated to, impose penalties on those people found guilty of such offenses. So the Real Estate Commission is an important part of our business, and you need to know that there are 8 members of the Real Estate Commission. Now, before I move on, is there any questions about these 2 concepts of the licensing law and the Real Estate Commission before I move on? Does anybody have any questions about this stuff? And I'm not seeing any questions, so I'll moderate the conversation once again and start discussing. All right, moving on. Different types of real estate licenses. Well, you're here to get a New Jersey salesperson's real estate license. That's the first step you're taking. By getting a New Jersey salesperson's license, you're not authorized to do anything for anybody and collect any money at any time. What? What am I doing here? Well, here's the thing. The salesperson's license is only good when the salesperson works for and under the authority of a sponsoring real estate broker. I'm going to talk about being a broker in a few minutes. But right now, you want to get your salesperson's license so that you can go out and make money selling and renting and doing all kinds of things in real estate. So the salesperson's license is where we start. We're going to talk about the process, the qualifications a little later. I'm just trying to describe to you the four different licensing classifications. There's a salesperson. And then if after several years of doing business in real estate, you feel motivated and want to, you can go on and get a broker's license. I achieved my broker's license in 1997. A broker's license entitles you to open up your own business. You want to have a real estate office and be the broker? You can do it because you're the broker. If you pass your licensing exam, you can do that. It also authorizes you to work on behalf of an employing broker as a managing broker for a regional office or a branch office for that company. So the broker's license gives you more doors to access in the real estate business. Salesperson's license, no authority except working under the authority of a licensed broker. So there we got two licenses already. The third one, a broker salesperson, is what I currently am. I've earned my broker's license, but choose to hang my license under the authority of another broker. I have all the rights and benefits of being a broker. It's just that I'm a broker-salesperson, meaning I choose not to operate companies or operate offices for other brokers. I just want to sell real estate and make money. So I'm a broker-salesperson. So that's the third category. And the fourth category is called the salesperson's licensed with a real estate referral company, SLWRERC. What that means is anyone who gets a real estate license, whether you're a salesperson, broker, or broker salesperson, and would rather not do business full time, just maybe refer business to a broker, you just want to get your license, then you can still do that and earn money by being a referral agent. It's called the salesperson licensed with a real estate referral company. So there's the fourth classification of licenses. Now I'm going to open up the conversation. I know there's going to be some questions. So any questions about what we're talking about? I see one or two questions, so I'll wait. Erica, I already answered that question earlier in the morning. No, we don't give you PowerPoints on this. It's copyright protected. When can you get your broker salesperson's license? You mean your broker's license? We're going to talk about how to get these things in a few minutes. I just want to make sure we understood what the four differences were. Was there any questions about these, or should we just move on? Can a property manager who refers renters get a... James, we're not talking about property management today. You have to be licensed to earn a fee. So property manager who's not licensed cannot earn referral business. No. Can you please explain the fourth type again, please? The salesperson licensed with a real estate referral company is any licensee, salesperson, broker, or broker salesperson who chooses not to work full time or just refer business to their broker. They don't want to pay dues. In fact, a salesperson licensed with a real estate referral company doesn't pay any dues, doesn't pay any MLS fees, doesn't join any boards, has no obligations except to renew their license when renewal time comes. They're not allowed to do open houses, prospect, do anything in real estate. The only thing they're allowed to do is refer leads to a broker. And if that broker converts that leads into a sale or a rental or whatever and earns a fee, they'll send you a commission check just for making a phone call. Referral business, guys, you'll find out is some of the best business you can get in the world. Let me see what other questions there were. Once you are a salesperson, you can choose to become a broker if you like. We'll talk about the qualifications in a few minutes. What is the point of just referring as a salesperson? Because again, Sierra, you don't have to pay any dues, fees, or anything. You have to, but as a salesperson under the authority of a broker, you do. So you save all that money. Once you get broker's license, will you be able to rent properties such as a duplex? You can do it as a salesperson under the authority of a licensed broker. Does a referral agent work only with a referral agency, or can they work with a real estate company? They're working with a real estate referral brokerage. Yes, they're working for a real estate company. So having your salesperson with, you can do transition to work under, can do more than just referral. Ayana, a salesperson licensed with a real estate referral company can do nothing more than just refer business. They can't do anything else. Can you work as a referral salesperson and smoothly transition to work under a broker? Yeah, by paying all those fees, yes, you can. Can you do salesperson at the same time as being? No, you can only be one or the other. Can you be a broker and also give referrals? Yes. I see a couple more questions. I'll wait. Denise, no. Jose and Odina, no. Anybody else have any questions, or do you need a separate license for us? No, it's a salesperson's license as a working with a referral company. That's all. You can only work from one brokerage at a time, as we'll discuss later. We'll talk about fees. Guys, it's none of our, okay, I'm gonna have to moderate here. We're getting off track. Fees in this business are between you and your broker. I do not set fees. There's many different services, many different things, many different memberships you're gonna have to join. Each broker will be responsible for telling you what your individual fee structure will be. I'm merely talking about real estate licensing and what the fees are regarding that. So other than that, that's a discussion between you and your broker to have, not me. Can I discuss the difference between broker and salesperson? I think we did that, Aliyah, already. But if I need to, let me just one more time refer to the 4 classifications of licensing. Number 1 is the salesperson's license. That's what you're here for. You have no authority to do anything as a salesperson unless you work under the authority of a licensed broker. A broker is someone who's earned their broker's license. We're going to talk about how they earn it in a few minutes, but their broker has a license that enables him to open up a real estate office and branch offices. He can work as a broker for a company and operate an office for them. And then a broker salesperson is someone who's earned the right to be called a broker, but chooses to work under the authority of another broker, like I do. I'm a licensed broker, but working under the authority of another broker gives me the broker-salesperson status. So I hope I discussed those and differentiated them again. I don't want to do it really too many more times, but hopefully we got that under our hat. So I do want to move on, guys. I know you got questions, but again, if they're pertinent to our discussion, then great. If not, then hold your questions to a later time. Was there any other questions about these different statuses of license? Apparently there's many. So let's see what they are. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Can I repeat the 4th one, please? Salesperson's licensed with real estate referral company. Salesperson's license is the first in the list of achieving. Correct. All right, assuming that you're just leaving your keyboards open. I forgot you left them open, but I do have to move on, guys. I don't see any more questions coming up. So I'm going to moderate and move on. All right, moving on then. Now, what are the things that are required to have a real estate broker's license for? Well, you have to have a broker's license to list real estate for sale. You have to have a broker's license to sell, exchange, buy, auction, or rent real estate. You need a broker's license to collect rent on behalf of a client. You have to have a broker's license to solicit prospective purchasers and sellers, prospecting. You need a real estate broker's license to negotiate real estate loans if you want to. You need a broker's license to sell lots on or other parcels for developers, sell business opportunities that involve real estate, and or attempt to do any of the above. You must have a real estate broker's license. But Tim, I'm getting a salesperson's license. How am I going to do business? So, activities requiring salesperson's license and broker supervision allows you to do pretty much everything we just talked about. Negotiating purchase, sale, exchange of real estate, negotiating real estate loans, leasing, renting, collecting rent, selling lots or parcels for developers. You need a salesperson's license working under the supervision and authority of a licensed broker. And if you are a salesperson licensed with a real estate referral company, the only thing that you can do is refer business to your broker. That's it. You're limited. Now, was there any additional questions to our discussion about authority and who can do what? I see a couple typing, so I'll hang on. Can referrals only work with one broker? You can only work for one broker at a time, Dante, so it only works through your one employing broker. How long do you have to have salesperson? We'll get to that, Ayana, in a few minutes if you want to hang on. Does anybody else have a question? Is there anything a salesperson cannot do? Isn't a referral only one? I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. Is that two questions? Yeah, is there anything a salesperson cannot do even with a broker supervision? Oh, I'm sorry, there was only one. So, yes, there are many things you can't do that you have to have a broker's license to, like operate trust accounts and things like that. Can you make referrals even if your broker isn't a referral only one? Your broker, now I'm going to moderate the conversation real quick here and stop, just to get an idea here. Now, let me use the whiteboard to try to give you an idea of what I'm trying to present here. The broker, the agent, and there are many salespersons working for the broker. Let's say there's half a dozen or so working in this office, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a sixth agent. Every one of these salespersons, they're all salespersons, have no authority to do anything in the real estate business. However, when each one has an employment agreement with the broker, then the broker's authority translates back to the salesperson. Therefore, when you work under the supervision of a broker, his authority gets transferred back, so you can do almost everything that a broker can do. Almost. But remember, there was some limitations, and we will talk about that in a few minutes. But again, a salesperson must be hired by a broker, sign an employment agreement that extends his authority to you, activate your license, and then you can go out and list and sell property and rent property and do all kinds of things. Hopefully that cleared it up a little. But was there any other question regarding this relationship before we move on? Can we go back a slide? No, we're not going back a slides. Everything on the slides is taken directly from the books. Just read your book. Can you move to any different brokers? Of course you can. You're an independent contractor. You can move anytime you want. Out of courtesy, what's the difference between working under a broker as a salesperson and being an independent contractor? Totally unrelated, Charles, and we'll talk about that a little later this morning. But we will talk about an independent contractor. Anybody else have a question before we move on? Well, Myron, if you were with us, except for about 5 minutes ago, you would have known that, and it's all in your textbook, so all you have to do is read that. I'm not going to go back and repeat for one person. Guys, please, let's keep up, or come to class on time, then I wouldn't have to do that. If I'm licensed in 2 states, the broker I work for can be 2 different ones? Yes, you can work for one broker at a time in each state. And Dale, you had a question. Swindle. No? All right, let me moderate the conversation and move on. Now, there are some exemptions from the licensing laws. Ooh, I want to know about that. So, who's exempt from getting a real estate license or having to get one? Well, first of all, we call them FSBOs or FSBO, for sale by owners. In other words, owners handling their own property for sale or rent. It's their property. They have the right to sell it themselves without having to engage a real estate salesperson or broker. They don't need a real estate license to sell their own property. It's only when they get involved in someone else's property, when they're helping them sell that they have to be licensed. But you don't have to be licensed to sell or rent your own real estate. Not required. Attorneys, executors, trustees, receivers, administrators, anybody appointed under court order, guardians, things like that, are exempt from the licensing laws when acting under the authority of a court order. Attorneys, by the way, sometimes have to dissolve estates or sell off assets through divorce settlements or estate settlements, or are directed by courts to make sales to satisfy injunctions or relief for parties. In that case, they don't need a real estate license. If you were excuse me, if you were appointed under a court order to handle the disposition of an estate, and one of those things required you liquidating the asset and selling the house, again, acting under court order, you don't need a real estate license to do it. Banks and trust companies are exempt from the licensing laws. Why? Because unfortunately, banks have to sometimes foreclose on individuals and take the property back. Since it's then their own property, they don't need a real estate license to sell it or get rid of it or auction or do anything. And insurance companies are exempt from the real estate licensing laws. There are some insurance companies that offer mortgages to policyholders. And if a policyholder defaults on their mortgage, the insurance company has the right to repossess that house through foreclosure and sell it and do whatever they need to do without being licensed. Now, it doesn't say individual insurance brokers. No, it says insurance companies are exempt. There's a big difference. All right, moving on. So, you want to get paid for doing a real estate business? Well, first of all, you have to be licensed to do it. You have to collect a commission, you must be licensed, and you must be licensed at the time the service is performed. So you may have deals in your hip pocket ready to go, but you got to get your license first before you can earn that commission. So guys, 2 weeks, you can be done with us. A week or so later, pass the state exam, activate your license, and you can be selling real estate by the end of the month. But you must be licensed, And you must be licensed at the time the service is to perform in order to be able to collect a commission for doing it. Real estate licensees can share commissions. It's one of the beautiful things about real estate is that only with a licensed associated salesperson or salespersons licensed with a real estate referral company can you share commissions through your broker or with other brokerage services. So how does that mean? Well, let's look at a whiteboard diagram one more time. I'll try to explain it. Here's the broker you work for. That's broker. And there's another broker over here. That's broker number 2. You work for broker number 1. You're a salesperson working for this broker. Now you, when getting a listing, are going to charge the seller a certain percentage of fee. Under the real estate guidelines and licensing laws, because your broker has authority to do the business and you're employed under that brokerage, you can work under the authority of the broker and list that property. Then, let's say you charge 6% commission. We're just using this as an example. If there was no other broker involved and the house sells, your broker collects the full 6%, of which he then splits it with you, depending on your commission agreement in your independent contractor contract. We'll talk about that a little later as well. So if you're on a 50-50 split, you list a property and you sold it yourself, then that 6% gets split between your broker and you at 3% each, and you made a nice income. But the majority of time, this broker, when listing it, is going to rely on another broker to bring the buyer to sell it. 95% of the time, another broker is involved. Then another salesperson works for that broker under their authority. This salesperson, it's an S, not a 5, all right? An S. This salesperson has the buyer and wants to buy this salesperson's listing that the broker controls. And in doing so, this broker agrees to split his commission with the other broker, who then, through his employment contract with the salesperson, splits his commission with the salesperson. If they're on a 50-50, and let's say we charge 6% and the commission was split evenly, this broker got 3%, this broker got 3%. That means the salesperson in effect got 1.5% of the sales price if they're on 50-50 agreements. So this means that a salesperson taking a listing, this guy, agrees to split or give other salespeople or brokerages a fee, this guy, through the brokerage agreement, an MLS agreement. So if this broker's salesperson produces a buyer, your broker agrees to split the commission with the other broker, and then whatever's left is split between the broker and the salesperson on each side. That should not be that confusing, but in order to collect the commission, you have to be licensed at the time the service is performed. And only with licensed salespersons or agents can your salesperson agree to split their commission with another salesperson or broker. But again, your broker will give you the guidelines on how he wants you to handle it. Was there any questions about that? Apparently there is. I'll wait. In your opinion, what's the best agreement number to be on as a salesperson or for broker? That's not for me to discuss. That's between you and your broker to discuss. What is the benefit of splitting commission? Helping by enticing other brokers to bring buyers, you increase the chance of selling your listing. I'm not seeing the dry erase board because I already took it down. Can you negotiate the percentage? All commissions, as we'll find out, are what? Negotiable. Can a broker keep a home in house? Can a broker keep a home in a house? I don't know what that means or how it even relates to our discussion. I get that broker to broker splits, but what does the other salesperson get? Whatever his employment agreement is with the broker. Meaning only for his own company to sell. What? Still not understanding your question, David. You skipped my question. Is wholesaling illegal? I didn't even see your question. I'm sorry, Ayana. Is wholesaling illegal? No. You said you can only sell real estate with a license, but you are able to wholesale though. Correct. What's the most common commission split? There is no common commission splits, whatever you and your broker agree to, and I can't advise you on that. So a salesman and us can split the commission only if the broker allows. Correct. I think he means, can a broker sell a home with his own company? Of course. Brokers can sell anything. No, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, brokers can sell properties. That's not a problem. Can a broker give 100% commission? Brokers get nothing. Again, Robert, I'm going to moderate the conversation. Guys, we're drifting off track. Oops, sorry. We're drifting off. We haven't talked about commission splits or anything. And by the way, again, I'm going to repeat this. It's not for me to let you know what's a proper commission split or what the norm is, because there is no norm. It's all negotiable, as we'll find out. We don't have any standard of what's acceptable. So I'm not going to touch the commission split questions, guys. I don't have authority to tell you that. It's whatever you and your broker determine. Was there any other questions about what we're talking about? Can you give a present to a person being a client? Okay, we're way off track. David, I'm sorry, your questions are like, unrelated to the topics being discussed. Please keep your questions pertinent to our conversation. If you have questions like that, present them at the end of the day and talk. But it's up to your broker to decide policy. It's always up to your broker, not me. I see a couple more people looking for questions. Is there anything we should have highlighted since the 8 members of the real estate commission? It's up to you to decide, Michael. I'm not telling you how to study. It's up to you to decide. I think everything in the book should be highlighted, but that's me. Aren't there others who also get a portion of the commission? Real estate agency? That's your broker we're talking about. Commissions with broker is based on the sale of the... Okay, guys, we're getting way off track. Again, let's stop the discussions of commissions. It's up to you and your broker to decide what kind of commissions you can charge and who you're going to split them with. It's up to you and your broker to decide, not me. All I'm saying is, with a real estate license, in order to collect a commission, you have to be licensed at the time the service is performed. And let me repeat, all authority stems from the broker. Meaning, when the house is sold, your broker gets paid, and then they split his commission with you. If another broker is involved through the multiple listing service, then the total commission gets split between brokers, who then split their commissions with the salespersons doing the job. It's up to their independent employment agreement to set those rates. Okay, I think I cleared that up. I shouldn't have too many more questions on this. So the commission agreement is added to the price of the real estate? No. Rachel, if I sold your house for $100,000 and charged you 6%, that means you netted $94,000 and I got $6,000. It's not on top of the sales price. It's from the sales price. But again, we're getting way off topic, so I don't want to go there. Let's continue. Now, and many real estate licensed companies have employed unlicensed assistants in their office. If there's an unlicensed assistant in a real estate office, what they cannot do is show property to clients. They're not licensed, they can't do it. They can't answer questions about property listed with your firm. They're not licensed, they're not allowed to do it. They can't make cold calls or prospect They're not licensed. They can't do it. They can't discuss, explain contracts or other documents with anybody outside the brokerage because they're not licensed. And they can't make telephone calls or collect rent or calls to collect rent because they're not licensed. They can't do open houses or do promotional booths. They can't distribute promotional materials. And they cannot attend home inspections because they're not licensed. In other words, they can't really do anything except administrative work, filing paperwork, filling out contracts for salespeople, scheduling appointments for persons. They can do that, but they can't do any of the above items we just talked about. What they can do, answer calls and forward calls. Hi, you're calling about that house on 3rd Street? I'm sorry, there's no one available. Let me put you into their voicemail. Or here's a salesperson, you can talk to them. They can't answer questions about properties. Only the salesperson and broker can. They can process and submit listings and changes in the MLS if the broker authorizes them to. They can place signs on properties, pick up keys, and deliver documents. That's administrative work. They can schedule appointments for showing properties. And they can set up files and track and secure documents. That's what they're allowed to do because they're not licensed. They can also do certain activities under discretion of a licensee. Can you do me a favor and move a sign or something, or handle this paperwork for me? Do whatever the salesperson says. If that's under their jurisdiction, then that's what they have to do. Keep records, deposit monies, secure deposits, rents. Have to keep good records. And follow up on loan applications for the salesperson's clients. Compute commission checks. Whatever the broker says they can do, that's required to do without a license, they can do. But if it requires a real estate license, then they cannot do it because they're unlicensed assistants in that brokerage firm. Now, before I talk about the qualifications, was there any last minute questions about what we've talked about so far this morning? What are cold calls? Prospecting. That's what cold calls are. Prospecting. The last slide is in a situation where you have an assistant work for you, the salesperson. I'm sorry, Jose, I don't understand your question. Can an unlicensed assistant type up contracts? Yes, it said that. Can I please slow down? We got a lot of ground to cover. I don't really slow down that much, but I always pause for questions. What is a promotional booth? Trade shows, things like that. Conventions. Hey, promoting our company. You take a pamphlet and we talk about a career in real estate, whatever. See a couple more people typing, so hang on. If licensed in another state, what paperwork needs to be filed? Again, Rachel, we haven't gotten there yet, so hang on. Does the office you work for get any portion of my commission? It's up between you and the broker to decide how your commission split is paid. Can you explain the unallowable activities of slide 12? Can you explain the unallowable activities? They're right in your book. I don't think I should have to explain anything. They're right in your book. So assistants can forward and answer calls regarding homes, but cannot cold call clients about property. Correct. Separate from the broker and myself. I don't know what that refers to. Does the office you work for get any portion of my commission separate from the broker and myself? Does the office you work for get any portion of my? When I say your broker, he is the office. Okay, not seeing any other questions. Let's move on. All right. Qualifications for licensure. How do you qualify to become a salesperson? Well, you had to answer several questions in order to make sure you could qualify to get a real estate license in New Jersey. And one of them was, are you at least 18 years of age by the time your license will be activated? You must have answered yes to that question. If you didn't, then you can't become a licensed salesperson until you do. Now, you also have to prove that you are minimally a high school graduate or equivalent, what do they call it, GEDs, or from out of the country, high school transcripts from the country you went to high school in. You got to prove to the Real Estate Commission you're a minimal high school graduate. Then you must furnish evidence of good moral character. What does that mean? Good moral character. Well, in today's world, it means you must submit to a fingerprint ID background check. That means you're going to have your fingerprint scanned to see if you have criminal records. So you have to furnish evidence of good moral character. You must successfully complete a 75-hour salesperson's course, this pre-licensing course, 75 hours. It says successfully complete, meaning you must pass the school exam. Once you pass the school exam, then you have to go and take a state exam and pass the state exam. You also have to disclose your social security numbers because the state wants to run a check on you to see if you're subject to any child support problem or issues. You have to present documentations of legal residence in the United States. You don't have to be a resident of New Jersey. You don't even have to be a citizen of the United States. All you have to do is prove that you are here legally in the country to get a real estate license. You must pass the state examination. We're going to talk about the exams in a few minutes, so hang on to your questions. So you have a school exam you have to pass to graduate. Then you have a state exam which you must pass to become licensed. And then when you meet all those criteria to pass the state exam, you have to go get sponsored, be hired by a real estate broker. You have to sign some sort of employment agreement, independent contractor agreement most likely. And then submit your paperwork, pay the fees to activate your license. Now, again, one more time, minimum 18 years of age, minimum high school graduate equivalent, furnish good moral character by doing fingerprint background checks, successfully pass the school exam, complete the 75-hour licensing course, disclose social security numbers, provide documentation of residency, pass the state exam, and then be sponsored by a real estate broker. Now, I'm going to talk about the qualifications for broker licensure in a minute, but does anybody have any questions about these basic qualifications? Do you give time at the end of the day or during breaks to answer? Yes, I said that, Rachel. I always offer my services after school's over for any questions you may have related to real estate. How much will they get into? Luciana, I'm going to say this once again. I don't discuss fees for your broker's fees, but we will talk about the licensing fees in a few minutes. So give us a few minutes till we get there. We will discuss licensing fees in a few minutes. Can you be related to your sponsor? Of course you can, Priscilla. Not a problem at all. What exactly do they look for on your record to disqualify criminal activity, Ayana? Is there a list of licensed brokers once we get to the the license? It's up to you to find a broker, Cynthia. We don't give you, who to go to talk to. You can go to any broker. No worries. You can go to any qualified real estate broker to talk to them about being hired. Any broker. It's not who we send you to, it's who you send it to. Besides, you can ask me all day long, who should I go talk to? What company's better than the other? Who gives better training? I can't answer those questions. It's up to each individual to find that out for themselves, and I can't help you on that. Can you be listed by more than one? You can't be employed by more than one broker, no. So if illegal, all you have to do is show proof of a residence in the U.S., don't have to be here. No, you have to be here legally. It says that. You must prove legal residence in the United States. Can we start working after passing the school exam, then later take? No. You have to be hired by a broker in order to start working and earning money. After 75 hours, does it have any limit time for the state exam? Yes, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Was there anybody else with a question before I move on? Now, quite a few folks have joined us in the last half hour. For some reason, you weren't here for the first half hour. That could be a problem because if you miss more than a half hour of time, that may not qualify for your full hours. You got to be here on time at 9 a.m., guys. Just a warning. Okay, was there any other questions regarding these qualifications for licensure before I move on? I'm not even understanding what you're talking about. Got it, guys? I don't do well with 3 or 4 statements or 3 or 4 word statements. If you have a question, ask me a full question so I understand that. Kieran, school exam, is it exam class we are taking or other? Kieran, again, you will pass a school exam and then you must pass a state exam. The school exam is administered at the end of the course. Will be prompt joining moving forward. Good. I logged it from my phone onto my comp. Does it affect? I can't tell you that. I have no idea what you're even talking about. Guys, when it comes to technology, I'm the last guy you want to talk about. You want to talk to. I'm not that guy. How long do you have to be a salesperson before applying to become a broker? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, Robert. So hang on. We'll get there in a few seconds. Was there anybody else with a question about licensure for salespersons? Let's try not to drift off track. Let's try to keep our conversation directed at what we're talking about. Being everything that's going on with COVID, the test online, again, that's an administrative question, Ayana. Talk to our administrative personnel in our office. I see a couple of people typing, so I am going to wait for your questions. Is the test physical? No, you don't have to climb any rope ladders or do any push-ups. There's no physical test. It's all multiple choice question and answers. New student registration covers most of the admin questions being asked. Yeah, so you should come to the new student orientation on Tuesday nights. Always helpful. Is it online, or I'm sorry, David, what is online or in a building? All right, let me moderate the conversation. We do need to move on, guys. We're getting very off track once again. Again, I'm seeing questions, guys. Mostly in all the cases, both the buyer and the seller have brokers. Again, I don't know how you're referring here and what that applies to. So give me some context when you're going to ask a question. How long is the license active? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So again, don't jump ahead. We'll get there, I promise. Let me move on, guys. We do have a whole lot. We got 2 full chapters to cover today. And we're only an hour into it, and we still got another couple hours to go before our lunch break just for chapter 1. So let me move on. So once again, your qualifications to become a licensed salesperson. Number 1, you must be a minimum of 18 years of age by the time you activate your real estate license. You must prove high school equivalency, educational equivalency. Furnish evidence of good moral character, fingerprint check. Successfully complete a 75-hour pre-licensing course. Pass the school exam after attending your required 75 hours. You must disclose your social security number for child support enforcement purposes to the state of New Jersey. Provide documentation of citizenship or legal residency in New Jersey or in the United States. Then pass the state exam. Then you must be hired through an employment agreement with a broker, your sponsoring broker, in order to activate your license, which means supplying paperwork and fees to the New Jersey Real Estate Commission to activate your license with the broker. To become qualified for licensure as a broker in New Jersey, you have to be, once again, minimum of 18 years of age. Once again, prove high school equivalency or education equivalent. Again, furnish good evidence of good moral character, fingerprints. And here's the kicker. You must have served a minimum of 3 years full-time as a licensed salesperson. Now, this is going to happen. Some people are going to say, well, if I do 6.5 years, isn't that 3 full years? The answer is no. You have to do three years of full-time activity as a licensed salesperson immediately preceding your application to broker school. And your broker is going to have to testify in an affidavit to the Real Estate Commission that you were full-time. Now, full-time means not working another job 25 hours or more a week. So if you're working another job and it's 25 or more hours per week, then you are not considered a full-time salesperson. You're part-time. So if you want to go full-time, you have to give up your other job or cut your hours back to less than 24 or less hours per week in order to qualify as a full-time salesperson. Then you must successfully complete a 150-hour pre-licensing course. The salesperson's license course is 75 hours. The broker's course is an additional 150 hours. So that by the time you're done with broker school, you have completed 225 hours of real estate study. So again, your broker's course is 150 hours, and you must pass the school exam for the broker's course. Again, disclose social security numbers for child support, just like the salesperson. Provide documentation of citizenship or legal residency, and then you must pass the state exam. So again, each licensed salesperson or broker requires that you pass a school exam and then you pass the state exam. We'll talk about the exams in a few minutes. Was there any additional questions to these qualifications? And again, please keep your questions pertinent to our discussion, guys. Please don't drift off topic. And we have even more people joining us. Welcome. Again, you guys are an hour late. Not anymore, David. No, there is no more requirement that you sold the minimum number of properties. There used to be, in fact, when I got my license in '97, I had to prove I did so many rentals, so many sales, so many commercial, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to do that anymore. What if you want to attend broker's course? Do I have to wait 3 years? Yep. Again, you can't go to broker's course unless you have minimum 3 years full-time service in real estate business before you can even qualify to go. Was there any other questions before we move on? I see a couple people typing, so I'm going to hang. How many hours to be considered as full-time? Was it 24 hours a week? No, Hansani. You can't work another job for more than 25 hours or more per week. If you do, then you're not full-time. So if you're working a second job, it must be for 24 or less hours per week to be considered full-time. All right, I don't see any more questions, so let me moderate and move on. Now, there are exemptions here, guys. If you are a honorably discharged war veteran with a service-connected wound or disability, you can have your 3 years experience requirement waived by the Real Estate Commission and go directly, as soon as you get a salesperson's license, go directly into broker school if you wanted to. But again, you must be honorably discharged and you must have been inflicted with a service-connected wound or disability to qualify as a wounded, honorably discharged war veteran. So your 3 years experience can be waived and you can go right into broker school and get your broker's license after you get your salesperson's license. And because of your status, you have all your fees waived as a licensee. Did anybody not understand this exemption? Not seeing, oh, there is. Okay, so hang on. Wow, we got a couple more people logging on. Guys, we do start at 9 o'clock. So for you guys who are just joining us, you missed the first hour and I'm not going back. So I'm sorry to tell you that. How many hours to be considered full-time? Well, I just answered that question, Ansani. You just asked that and I just gave you the answer. So please don't let me repeat myself. Was there any other questions before we move on? Sumia, are these slides available? These are taken directly from the textbook. All you got to do is look at your textbook. You can see information being presented. Okay, I'm not seeing any new questions. Deborah, did you have a question? There it is. So the vets must have salesperson's license, but do they have to pay for the fee or that course are also? You have to pay for the course, but once you achieve your broker's license, your fees are exempt. You have to pay for the course, Deborah. It's not free. Do you have to work between the hours of 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. or can you work from 8 a.m. to, okay, let me moderate here real quick. Charles, do you have to work between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. or can you just work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.? I'm going to tell you this. You're probably going to be putting in anywhere from 90 to 120 hours of work per week as a salesperson until you achieve your clientele's base. And I'm not kidding. If you think this is a 40-hour work week, you're sadly mistaken. When I started in real estate, guys, I worked my tailbone off just to be productive. Now, today, after 20 going on 28 years in the business, I pretty much don't work 120 hours a week. In fact, all I really do is teach real estate courses. I'm kind of semi-retired, as my wife says, semi-retarded. Yeah, go figure. But the thing is, guys, to start out, you have to build your business, and your broker's going to tell you how to do it, but you're going to have to work your butt off. Anything worth achieving is worth working hard for, and you will work hard if you want to be productive and make money. This is not a sit at the desk, drink coffee, and listen to people order real estate. This is not that kind of job. So yeah, 10 to 8 plus 8 p.m. to whenever you're done, and before 8 a.m. and before 10 a.m. rather. So you're going to be working a lot. Was there any other questions before we move on? Is there any reason that veterans are specifically exempt? Dante, and let me just address this really quick. A wounded war veteran, in my personal opinion, should be given free everything. Whether you agree with me or not is irrelevant. The fact is, if you were honorably discharged as a war veteran and were inflicted with a service-connected wound or disability, then you deserve our, meaning collective, our admiration and respect. And I would insist that your fees be waived. As a person who didn't serve in the military and weren't wounded or disabled, then no. But if you were, then absolutely. That's my personal opinion. Whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. The fact is, that's the way it is. Was there any other questions before I move on? Does the veteran still have to take? Yes. Does the veteran still have to take the course? Yes, they still have to take the course and pass the school exam and the state exam. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm sorry, Elise. Do you have to be a war veteran? Just have served? No, it says right in here, an honorably discharged war veteran with a service-connected wound or disability. You must be that. If you did serve, first of all, my hat's off to you and say thank you very much for your service. But you have to be a war veteran, disabled, or wounded as a result of your service. All right, guys, I do need to move on. I know you guys got a lot of questions, but again, if they're not relevant to our discussion, please hold your questions to the end of the day and I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. All right. Now, what if you want your educational requirements waived? Could you do that? And the answer is yes. What? Several of you guys out there, if you're licensed with another state and have passed your real estate licensing and are licensed as a salesperson from another state, you could contact the New Jersey Real Estate Commission and have the school 75-hour course requirement waived. But you must pass the state exam. And since our laws are very different than many other states, you're probably going to have to come to class. But if you are a licensed salesperson in Utah, Pennsylvania, I don't know, wherever you're from, Maryland, then you could call the Real Estate Commission, have your licensing education requirement waived, but you still must pass the state licensing exam to become licensed as a salesperson in New Jersey. If you're a licensed broker in any other state, same law applies. You could waive your school requirements of education, but you still must pass the state exam in order to be qualified to get your license in New Jersey. So if you're a licensed broker from another state or even a salesperson, and you have previously taken New Jersey courses, or excuse me, licensing courses and passed your state exams and become licensed in those states, then you could waive your education requirements with permission from the Real Estate Commission. And if they agree, then all you have to do is pass the state exam. That's it. And New Jersey attorneys obviously are exempt from these requirements. Or if you took pre-licensing courses in another state, or there's actually, if you've earned an equivalent real estate degree in college, and there's at least one college I know that in New Jersey offers a degree program in real estate, and that's Rutgers. So if you spent 3 or 4 years at Rutgers earning your degree, then you don't have to come to school. You can just go and pass the state exam. But if you haven't, then you got to come to school and pass the state exam. Was there any other questions regarding these exemptions? Paralegals required to take the class? Yes. Unless you're a practicing attorney. And Rachel, did you have a question? And then Luciana, I see you have a question. Just to clarify, if you have a real estate degree, you still take the test. You still must pass the state exam. Correct, Rachel? I see you guys offer New York courses, so if we complete this course, we just have to take New York test. Luciana, you can talk to any one of our administrators, and they'll tell you the process to do that. In effect, pretty much what you said, pretty much. But again, you can talk to our administrative assistants. They'll be on at noon for any questions you have, and they'll answer those at that time. All right, guys, let's move on. Still a lot of ground to cover. Now, I just did this page. Let's move on. Now, what about criminal convictions, Tim? What if I'm not squeaky clean? Can I still get a real estate license? The answer is yes, you can. However, no real estate license will be issued to anyone convicted within the past 5 years of forgery, burglary, robbery, any theft other than shoplifting, or criminal conspiracy to defraud, or any like offense. If you have been found guilty and convicted in the past 5 years of any one of these crimes, you're not going to get a real estate license, guys. It's that simple. However, if it was longer than 5 years ago, the state may be giving you a real estate license because they abide by what's called the Rehabilitated Convicted Offenders Act, which says even if you have been convicted of a crime like this, it's been longer than 5 years and you have kept your nose clean since. And if so, quite possibly they'll give you a real estate license. Will you be denied a license because you smoked some funny stuff and got caught one time? Probably not an issue. What if I have unpaid parking tickets? They're going to hit me with that? Probably not. However, I will say this. I am not the authoritative so-and-so to determine who gets a license or not. It is the Real Estate Commission. If you have a question about whether you can qualify to get a real estate license because of conviction in your past, you can call anonymously to the Real Estate Commission's phone number on page 2 in your textbook. It's a 609-292-7272 number, and ask, hey, this is in my past, will prevent me from getting a real estate commission, and they'll tell you, I don't have that ability to make that decision. But if you have a question about something in your past, then by all means call them, let them know, and they'll tell you. So if you have any of these convictions listed on the PowerPoint in the past 5 years, then you're not going to get a real estate license. But if it was longer than 5 years ago or for something else that you've been convicted of, then again, contact the commission, find out what they would refer you to do or prefer you to do. But right now, I'm telling you, if it's a minor offense, probably not an issue. But again, always check with the commission about this. Other additional licensing issues. Now, required experience for broker's license, we went over. You must have a minimum of 3 years full-time in the real estate business to be considered a candidate for real estate broker school. Number 2, there's a time limit on your application. What does that mean? Okay, this was a question someone asked earlier. How much time after I pass the school exam do I have to take and pass the state exam? The answer is from the day that you pass the school exam, you have 1 year to that date in which to activate your license with a broker, meaning you've completed all the other requirements and passed the state exam, which means all your paperwork and stuff has to be submitted to the Real Estate Commission no longer than 1 year to the date you passed your school exam. If you wait longer, you're out of luck. Actually, I had a girl call me about 3 months ago and said, it's been about 13 months since I passed my school exam. When can I schedule my state exam? I said, dear, it's too late. What? Yeah, you have 12 months from the day you passed the school exam to take and pass the state exam. If you don't, it's as if you never went to school and have to do it all over again. 1 year comes very quickly, believe me when I tell you that. It goes very quickly. However, if you are interested in getting your real estate license, then as soon as you pass the school exam, you go out and register to take the state exam so you can get that done and then get hired by a broker. Don't wait. And there's a practical reason for this too, guys. The longer you wait, the less you're going to remember. It's that simple. So upon completing your school test and passing, you have 1 year from that date in which you must pass the state exam and activate your license with a broker. No longer. Non-residents. Another person had a question about this before. If you're not a New Jersey resident, there's any other paperwork I must supply to the state of New Jersey? And the answer is yes, there is. Besides all the normal paperwork, you have one extra piece of paper you must file with the State Real Estate Commission. That's an irrevocable consent form. What's that? Permission to be sued for your business in New Jersey. So if you are a resident of any other state than New Jersey, then you must file the irrevocable consent form with the Real Estate Commission, allowing them to sue you for your business in New Jersey. And that is the only other additional piece of paper you must file. Corporations have their own licensing issues. Corporation wants to open up a real estate division. In order to do so, one of their officers in the company must be a licensed real estate broker. If they don't have a real estate broker as an officer in the company, then they have to hire a broker and make them an officer in the company. I've done this. I was hired by a contractor to open up a real estate division for his contracting business, of which I did. He made me an officer in his company, and thereby I had control over bank accounts and checking accounts and records and authority to do certain things. But if he didn't name me as an officer in the company, then I wouldn't be able to do that. Therefore, if a corporation wants to open up a real estate division, they must have a licensed broker who is an officer in the corporation do it for them. Now, exams. Let's talk about your state and school exams real quick. First of all, your school exam. Your school exam will be done online after you've completed your 75 hours of study. The administrative personnel who'll come on at noon will talk to you about your tracker and how to track your courses and all that stuff, and that's great. I don't get involved in that, but you should be keeping track of your courses and hours that you take to make sure that you've completed the required amount of hours to be qualified to take the school exam. Once you take the school exam, it will be, again, online, excuse me, and it will be 110 questions. 110 questions or 125, depends on which test you get, of which you must get a minimum of 70% correct. I didn't say a passing grade of 70. I said a minimum of 70% correct answers on your exam to be able to pass the exam. So out of 110 questions, that's a 77 or better. On 125 questions, I think that's 88 or more questions you have to get correct in order to pass. So again, guys, you have to get a minimum of a 70% correct of the questions and answers in order to pass the exam. And it's all going to be multiple choice A, B, C, D. There's no essays. There's no truth and false questions. It's all multiple choice. And yes, you will have math questions too. But again, a 70% or better. So what's a 70% equivalent to? Well, look, A, B, C, D, F. 70, well, it's a C minus, or actually a D plus. 70 is a barely passing grade. All you got to do is get that. If you got a 70% or better, you passed. Move on. Who cares what you got? You passed. But if you didn't pass, in our school, you're eligible to come back and retake the exam as many times as you need to in order to pass, and we will not charge you for those additional exams. However, if you fail the state exam, then you must pay every time you retest at the state exam. So just do yourself a favor. Study hard, pass your first times on both requirements, and you save a lot of money. But if you don't, you have, remember, a year from the day you pass your school exam to activate your license with a broker and pass the state exam in the process. Before I move on after exam, was there any additional questions to these licensing issues? Apparently it's so let's hang on and see what happens. By the way, I love the matter-of-fact style of your class. Oh, thank you very much. It's the way it is. After you apply, how long for taking the state exam? After you apply for what, David? Will brokers ask what we got in the real? No, all they'll know is that you passed or not. That's all they care about. When do you have to? We'll talk about renewal in the future, but we'll talk about that. Haven't even gotten there yet. The 70% was on the school test and the state exam, William. You must maintain a minimum 70% on the state and the school exam to pass. Did you say if the state exam is going to be online or in person? It's online, I believe, right now. I also believe you may have an in-person option, but that could change at any moment, as we know. Any questions? Again, I said between 110 and 125. Yeah, state is online because of COVID right now. Or it could be, I'm not sure if they're offering still in class. I don't know. You can talk to our admins about that, guys. They have more knowledge than me on that. You know instantly, Michael. On the stool exam, you'll know instantly after you complete the exam if you pass or not. The state exam, ditto. You'll know immediately. So Dale says PSI is still doing in-person testing. Good. They're also doing online, so they're doing both, it looks like. So when do we take the school exam and do we go to Hackensack to do so? Boy, Manuel, where the hell have you been? Let me just moderate here real quick. I think I may have said this more than 5 times. No, first of all, you can't come to Hackensack because the state laws don't allow you to come. You pass the school exam online, and then you take the state exam. Probably online, maybe in person. How often can you take the state test? Until you pass, but it's got to be done within a year after you graduate pass the school exam. Again, how many times can you take? As many as you need to take, but you got to pay for the state exams, not the school exams. All right, was there any other questions, guys? I know we still have a lot of ground to talk about, but I want to make sure I answer your questions too. Is it Kieran and Christina? You have questions? No? Yes, it does. We'll talk about fees and everything for your licensing in a few minutes, Tyler. Was there any other questions? If you fail the state test, is there a time frame of when you are eligible to retake it? As soon as you can reserve another spot in the chain. So yeah, as soon as you can. Yeah, we do, Aldina. Another minute or so, we'll take a break. Thanks for reminding me, by the way. Deborah and Kieran, do you guys have questions, or did you just leave your typing bars open? There's an addition fee to activate with a broker other than the fee to take the state exam. Yeah, we're going to talk about those fees in, again, a few minutes. We'll talk about that. Half an hour arson. Arson? You sound like a felony. All right. Okay. Tell you what, it's 10:30, guys. Let's do this. I'm going to leave the dialogue box open, the chat room. You guys can chit chat amongst yourselves for the next half hour. My video and audio is going away for the next half hour. So when I come back, we're going to pick up and continue on our discussion, and then we're going to review the chapter. But in the next half hour, guys, go get yourself a cup of tea, some coffee, get some breakfast, smoke them if you got them. I don't know what your lifestyle is, but do what you need to do. And I will return in 1/2 hour. See you at 11.